Welcome to That's My Jam. I'm Stacy Gordon and this is our premiere YouTube video. Guys, it is a fabulous fall day here in the beautiful state of Kentucky, right on the banks of the Ohio River, and it's put me in the mood to want to make some apple butter. So why don't you follow me on into the kitchen and let's get started. So I think it's only fitting that my very first YouTube video would be apple butter, because apple butter was my very first flavor when I created That's My Jam. Y'all, when I made my first apple butter, I had never made any kind of jam, jelly, preserves. I'd never canned anything. I'd never done anything like this. So it was brand new and it quickly became a really fun hobby for me. So I decided I needed names for my flavors, and I wanted all the names to be inspired by rock and roll song titles, rock and roll lyrics. I just kind of wanted to marry my two favorite things at the time, which was my new hobby of canning with my lifelong love of rock and roll. And I love her apple butter. And I love her being a beautiful song by the Beatles, one of my favorites by them. And so that's where the inspiration for the name of this flavor came from. Now, if you want to know more about That's My Jam and the whole history of it and how it all came to be, take a look at my channel. There's a video up over there called Behind the Jam, and it's short, but it tells you the entire history of That's My Jam, what it is, how it came to be, and what it is now. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to need is apples. This recipe calls for roughly 5 pounds of apples, and personally I like to use Golden Delicious apples. All apples have different textures, and I think that the Golden Delicious apple makes the very best apple butter because you're able to blend it up nice and smooth at the end, and you're going to get that really great apple butter texture. And I'm in the process now of cutting these apples up. And while I'm not going to make you endure watching that labor-intensive process, I just want to show you what you're striving for in the end result. And then I like to save my peels and the cores, and I throw them out in the yard because we have deer out there at night, and they really enjoy snacking on those apple peels and cores while I'm sleeping in my bed. Okay, so once you get all the peel off, I use this terrific little apple slicer. You just kind of center the hole over the core of the apple. This one's not super straight. And wham. Okay, then you're going to fish that core out. And then we have all these super apple pieces. You want to inspect these to make sure there's nothing on the edges, little pieces of peel that you might have missed. And you want to inspect this part to make sure there's no little bits of core that got attached to it. So after you've done that and they all look nice and clean the way you want them, then we're going to dice these up. We're going to need these to be about this size right here. This is what we're going for, just some nice little tidbits. All right, y'all, we got these apples cut up, and the next thing we're going to do is get us a big old bowl, and we are going to add 4 cups of white sugar. After that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. And then we want 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I prefer just do it that way. Next step, we're going to take a big old spoon and we're just going to mix this up. We are blending together our sugar, our cinnamon, our cloves, and our salt. The next step is going to involve one of my favorite things in the kitchen, my crock pot. So I got the crock out, and I am going to add our pretty apples that we cut up earlier. And then I'm going to start mixing in that mixture of sugar, cinnamon, cloves, and salt. We want to make sure all the apples are coated really well. And hey, there is no law that says you can't taste one, because they're really good like that. After we get those mixed up, we're going to turn the crock pot on. These need to go on high for about an hour to get them going. Then you want to turn it down to low. They need to cook on low for probably 9 to 11 hours. So here's what I recommend. Do this part where you cut up your apples and you mix it up in the evening so that you can turn this on when you go to bed. And while you're sleeping in your bed and the deer are out there eating those apple peels and apple cores, this is cooking. And then when you get up in the morning, that's when you can get it into your jars. Believe me, you don't want to start this in the middle of the day, and then when it's finished, it's your bedtime and you got to start thinking about getting it in jars. So timing is kind of important on this one. All right, good morning. Let's see what happened overnight. This has been on low for about 11 hours. Coffee's ready. That's what we've got. Now we're going to take this wire whisk and the magic happens. We're just going to start whisking this. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And the more we whisk, the more this becomes our lovely apple butter. You know the great thing about this recipe, you don't have to worry whether or not it's going to set up or whether or not you cooked it the right amount of time, because I'm going to tell you that this recipe is perfect every single time. Look how beautiful this is. If you've got any little large chunks like that, you can just kind of target those, but you can see we have got success here, guys. And this is ready to go into jars. I love apple butter on a piece of toast or on a biscuit just as much as the next big old girl from Kentucky. But I'm going to tell you, I want you to think outside the box on this one just a little bit. Check out these bacon wrapped pork medallions. Y'all, this ain't just for your breakfast. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to do a little taste test. Cheers. It's incredible. Guys, like I said, this recipe is foolproof. It is so good. So now we need to get this apple butter into some jars, and you've got a couple of options here. If you're going to use it right away, you don't mind refrigerating it. You just get it into your container, and if you like, you can use the traditional rings and seals, or my personal favorite, these reusable screw top lids. I really like those. Otherwise, if you're going to put it on the shelf, you're going to need some type of preservation method. So if you hop over to my channel, you will find a separate video all about water bath canning. Either way you go, guys, you're going to love this apple butter. If you enjoyed the video today, great. But guys, I need your support because I want to share all of That's My Jam's recipes with you guys, every single one of them. In order to do that, we need to build a following. So I'm gonna need you to go down and hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna need you to share these videos on social media so we can get more people in our group. I have so many other fun things that I want to do, not just jams and jellies. Guys, I've got ideas for so many fun videos. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to build our group. So help a girl out here. Go down and hit that subscribe button. I want to thank you for watching today. And I want to leave you with a thought. Guys, I believe that we are literally suffocating from too much media, too much news, too much information, too much hate. So at the end of each of my videos, you're going to hear me say the same thing. Turn off the TV, turn on some music, and just keep jamming.